The smell of roasting turkey should have been comforting. Instead, it made my stomach turn. I was sitting in the corner of my parents' backyard, laptop open, trying to finish a work call when my sister Vanessa decided to ruin my life. The crisp November air bit at my face, but I welcomed it. Anything was better than being inside that house, pretending we were a normal family having a normal Thanksgiving. My name is Natalie Reed, and on that Thursday afternoon, everything I'd worked for nearly came crashing down because of one screen, one moment, and one sister who couldn't stand seeing me succeed. I should have known better than to bring my laptop. But when you run a multi-million-dollar authentication company, emergencies don't pause for holidays. The call was important. A collector in Singapore questioning the legitimacy of a rare diamond we'd certified. My reputation was on the line. "Miss Reed, we need your final assessment by Monday," the voice crackled through my earbuds. "You'll have it by Sunday," I promised, fingers flying across the keyboard. That's when I heard the patio door slide open behind me. "Still working." Vanessa's voice dripped with that familiar mix of sweetness and venom. "Mom's getting upset, you know. Says you've been hiding out here for over an hour." I didn't turn around. "I'm finishing something important. Tell her I'll be in soon." "What's so important that you can't spend time with your family on Thanksgiving?" There it was. The guilt trip. Vanessa had perfected it over the years, weaponizing my sense of duty against me. I closed my eyes, counted to 5, and forced a smile. 5 more minutes. I promise. But Vanessa wasn't done. She never was. She moved closer, heels clicking on the stone patio with deliberate slowness. Designer jeans. Cashmere sweater. Hair perfectly curled. Everything about her screamed expensive, which was interesting, considering she hadn't held a steady job in 3 years. "You know what your problem is, Natalie?" She leaned against the wrought iron table, arms crossed. "You think you're better than us. That's not true, isn't it? You sit out here in your designer suit, clicking away on your fancy laptop, while the rest of us are inside actually being a family." My jaw tightened. I'd paid for the suit myself. I'd earned every dollar that bought this laptop. But explaining that to Vanessa was like talking to a wall that twisted every word into ammunition. "I just need to finish this email, Vanessa. Please." She reached for my laptop. "Come on. Let everyone see what's so fascinating that you can't even." "Don't." My hand shot out, but she was quicker. Vanessa grabbed the laptop and danced backward, laughing. "What's the big secret? Are you looking at cat videos? Online shopping?" My heart hammered. "Vanessa, stop. That's confidential work information." But she was already moving toward the house, laptop held above her head like a trophy. Let's see what Natalie finds more important than her own family. I scrambled after her, but my ankle caught on the chair leg. By the time I recovered, she was through the sliding door, calling out to everyone in that sing-song voice that made my skin crawl. "Guess what I found? Natalie's been out here obsessing over her computer. Let's all see what's so interesting." The dining room fell silent. My mother, Julia, looked up from arranging centerpieces. My father, Richard, paused mid-conversation with my uncle. My grandmother, sitting in her wheelchair by the window, met my eyes with a knowing look that sent a chill down my spine. "Vanessa, this isn't funny," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "That's private company information." "Oh, come on. We're family." Vanessa set the laptop on the dining table with a flourish. "No secrets between family, right, Mom?" Mom smiled that tight smile she always wore when Vanessa was performing. "Well, maybe just a quick peek. We'd all love to know what keeps our Natalie so busy." "No. No, no, no." I reached for the laptop, but Vanessa spun it toward the room with theatrical flair. And there it was. The screen I'd forgotten to close when the Singapore call came through. Account summary. Read verification systems. Total liquid assets, $11,247,000. The room went completely silent. You could have heard a pin drop. A heartbeat. The moment before everything explodes. My mother's face went white, then red, then purple. What is this? 11 million? My father's voice cracked. $11 million? Vanessa's mouth formed a perfect O of shock, but I saw the glint in her eyes. Victory. She'd hit the jackpot without even knowing what she was looking for. I can explain, I started. Explain. Mom's voice rose to a shriek. You let us struggle for years while you were sitting on millions? I didn't let you struggle. I've been sending money a measly $2,000 a month. Dad slammed his hand on the table, rattling the plates. When you had millions? The words crashed over me like waves, each one pulling me under. Do you know what we've been through? Mom was crying now, real tears streaming down her carefully made-up face. The sacrifices we made. The second mortgage we took out. My stomach dropped. What second mortgage? For Vanessa's treatments. Mom gestured wildly at my sister. She was sick. She needed specialized care. We remortgaged the house. Natalie. We almost lost everything. I looked at Vanessa. She was crying too, but something about it felt wrong. Rehearsed. I was dying, she whispered, her voice breaking perfectly. The treatments cost hundreds of thousands. Mom and Dad sold their retirement accounts. And you had millions. But I sent money. Every month for 4 years. I marked it for medical expenses and mortgage support. $2,000. Dad's face was scarlet. Do you know how insulting that is? When you had 11 million. The room spun. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be happening. We gave you everything, Mom said, her voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. We raised you, fed you, put a roof over your head. And this is how you repay us. You sent me to live with Grandma Rose when I was 8, I said quietly. Because someone had to go when Vanessa got sick, and it couldn't be her. You ungrateful, Mom stepped forward, but Grandma Rose's voice cut through the chaos. Julia. Enough. Everyone turned. My grandmother sat in her wheelchair, ramrod straight despite her 84 years, her eyes sharp and clear. Mom, stay out of this, my mother snapped. I think not. Grandma Rose wheeled herself forward with surprising strength. Natalie, come here. I moved to her side on shaking legs. She reached up and took my hand, her grip firm and warm. You've done nothing wrong, she said quietly. Nothing. Nothing wrong. Dad's laugh was bitter. She's been hoarding money while her own family suffered. Suffered. Grandma Rose's voice cracked like a whip. Richard, you've been driving a brand new Lexus for 2 years. Julia, your closet is full of designer clothes. And Vanessa. She turned her gaze to my sister. Vanessa has taken 3 international vacations this year alone. The room went silent again. Natalie has been sending money every month, as she said. What happened to it? No one answered. The house was paid off 6 years ago, Grandma Rose continued. I know because I co-signed the original mortgage. There is no second mortgage. There never was. My mother's face went from red to white. Mother, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. Grandma Rose squeezed my hand. I understand that you've been lying to your daughter for years, manipulating her, taking her money while making her feel guilty for not giving more. That's not, Vanessa started. It is. Grandma Rose's voice was steel. And it ends now. I stood there, my grandmother's hand in mine, as the truth crashed down around us like a building collapsing. 4 years. Nearly $100,000. All built on lies. Natalie, Grandma Rose said gently, it's time to go. I looked at my family. My mother, red-faced and furious. My father, unable to meet my eyes. Vanessa, still crying crocodile tears, but watching me with calculation in her gaze. The turkey's ready, I said, my voice strangely calm. And it's paid for. The entire meal is paid for. $6,000 for catering. My treat. So please. I picked up my laptop and slid it into my bag. Enjoy. I helped Grandma Rose to her feet, collected my coat, and walked toward the door. Behind me, the silence was deafening. At the threshold, I turned back. Happy Thanksgiving. The door closed on my mother's scream and my father's shouts. And for the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. 3 days later, I sat in my downtown office watching the sun set over the city, my finger hovering over the delete button. Delete. Such a small word. Such enormous consequences. The recurring payment screen glowed on my monitor. $2,000 monthly transfer to Julia Reed. 4 years of payments. $96,000. All based on lies. My assistant, Grace, knocked softly before entering with a steaming cup of coffee. Thought you might need this. You've been staring at that screen for 20 minutes. How do you know what I'm looking at? She smiled sadly. Because I know you, Nat, and I'm guessing you're trying to decide whether to cut them off. I took the coffee, grateful for the warmth. Is it cruel? Is it cruel to stop funding people who've been lying to you? They're my family. Family doesn't do what they did. I turned back to the screen. The cursor blinked. Delete. Cancel. End. What if Vanessa really was sick? What if the medical bills were real? Grace pulled up a chair. Then verify it. You run a verification company, Nat. Do what you do best. She was right. Verification was my business. Authentication. Proof. Evidence. If my family had nothing to hide, the truth would support their story. And if they did... I opened a new browser window and typed in the county clerk's website. Property records were public. Mortgage information was public. The truth was public. I just had to be brave enough to look. 3 clicks later, the screen populated with information that made my stomach drop. Property, 847, Maple Grove Lane. Owners, Richard and Julia Reed. Current mortgage, $0. Satisfaction of mortgage recorded, October 15, 2018. 6 years ago. Not paid off recently. Not struggling under a second mortgage. Paid off completely, years before they claimed they'd needed to remortgage for Vanessa's medical care. My hands started to shake. Nat. Grace leaned forward. What is it? The house. It's been paid off for 6 years. But they said. I know what they said. My voice sounded hollow. They lied. I pulled up my banking records next, scrolling through the payment history. Each transfer marked exactly as my mother had instructed, medical expenses and mortgage support. I'd trusted them, believed their tearful phone calls and desperate voicemails. Never questioned. Never verified. What about the medical bills? Grace asked quietly. Could those still be real? I opened a new tab and navigated to Vanessa's Instagram account. It was public. She'd made a name for herself as a lifestyle influencer, with 20,000 followers watching her curated life. And what a life it was! I scrolled backward, matching dates to my payment transfers. February 12th. 2 days after my $2,000 transfer, Vanessa posted a photo with 5 designer shopping bags. Caption: treating myself because self-care isn't selfish. Hashtag blessed, hashtag luxury life. April 15th. 3 days after another transfer, Vanessa at a beachside resort in Aruba. Caption: sometimes you just need to escape paradise. Thanks mom and dad for the birthday surprise. June 8th. 1 day after my payment, Vanessa at an exclusive spa retreat. Caption: wellness weekend. Investing in my health and happiness. Hashtag self-care, hashtag deserving. On and on it went. Every single payment I made, followed within days by Vanessa's luxury purchases and exotic vacations. While I'd been working 70-hour weeks building my company, Vanessa had been spending my money on handbags and holidays. The realization hit me like a physical blow. She wasn't sick, I whispered. Or if she was, it wasn't recent. They've been using me. Grace's face hardened. What are you going to do? I stared at the evidence spread across my screen. The county records. The Instagram posts. The transfer history. A perfect timeline of deception. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. Natalie, we need to talk. Your father is very upset. Please call when you can. Then another. Your silence is cruel. After everything we've done for you. And a third. Fine. Be that way. But don't think this is over. The threats. The guilt. The manipulation. It was all so clear now. The crying, screaming kind. She told security you'd abandoned your dying sister and stolen money from the family. Grace handed me coffee that I desperately needed. 3 employees witnessed it. It's not great for company morale. My phone rang. My mother's number. Don't answer it, Grace advised. Let it go to voicemail. I set the phone on my desk, watching it vibrate and ring until finally going silent. Seconds later, a voicemail notification appeared. Against my better judgment, I played it on speaker. My mother's voice filled the office, high-pitched and frantic. Natalie, I don't know what you think you're doing, but your father and I need to talk to you immediately. This is unacceptable. You can't just cut off your family without warning. We have bills. Vanessa has medical expenses. Your father's blood pressure is through the roof from the stress you're causing. Call me back right now. The voicemail ended. Wow, Grace said softly. She's really doubling down on the medical angle. Even though the evidence proves it's fake. I deleted the voicemail. They're betting I won't call their bluff publicly. My attorney, Michael, knocked and entered without waiting. His expression told me this wasn't a social visit. We have a problem, he said, setting his briefcase on my desk. Your parents are threatening legal action. My stomach dropped. For what? Filial responsibility. It's an old law that requires adult children to provide financial support to parents who can't support themselves. He pulled out papers. It's rarely enforced, but technically exists in this state. They're suing me for support? They're threatening to. They've retained counsel, Thomas Mitchell, known for aggressive family law tactics. Michael sat down heavily. There's more. They've also filed a police report claiming you fraudulently accessed their bank accounts and stole money. The room spun. What? It's baseless. We'll fight it. But it's public record now, which means… He trailed off meaningfully. Which means my clients will see it. I sank into my chair. My business is built on trust and verification. If clients think I'm committing fraud… We'll handle it, Michael said firmly. But I need you to give me everything. Every bank statement, every communication, every piece of evidence. We're going to war, Natalie, and we need ammunition. Over the next hour, I laid out the timeline for Michael. The monthly payments marked for medical and mortgage expenses. The county records showing the mortgage was satisfied 6 years ago. Vanessa's Instagram documenting her luxury lifestyle. The attempted loan fraud. Michael took notes, his expression growing darker with each revelation. This is systematic financial exploitation, he said finally. They've been running a long-term con. The question is, how do we prove it without looking like the villain? What do you mean? Think about the optics. Successful businesswoman cuts off parents and sick sister. On the surface, you look like the bad guy. We need to flip that narrative before they control it. He was right. In the court of public opinion, I was losing. My phone buzzed. A notification from the company's social media manager. We have a situation. I pulled up Instagram on my computer. Vanessa had posted a new video. She sat in what looked like a hospital room, though I suspected it was just good staging, her face makeup-free and tear-streaked. I don't usually share personal stuff, she began, her voice trembling. But I need people to know what's happening. My sister, who I've always looked up to, has cut off our family financially. My parents are facing foreclosure. I'm struggling to pay for medical treatments. And she. A dramatic pause. She has millions. The video had already gained 15,000 views in 2 hours. The comments were brutal. Your sister is heartless. Family is everything. She should be ashamed. How can someone be so cruel to their own blood? Rich people forget where they came from. Grace appeared in the doorway. It's trending. #wealthy but heartless. I'm sorry, Nat. I watched the video again, studying Vanessa's performance. The calculated pause. The perfectly timed tears. The hospital setting that implied ongoing treatment. All lies. All manipulation. And it was working. Michael stood up. Don't respond. Don't engage. Let me handle the legal side. We'll draft a statement for your PR team, but keep it minimal. The more you defend yourself, the guiltier you look. After he left, I sat alone in my office, watching my phone light up with notifications. Reporters requesting comments. Former friends asking if the video was true. Even some clients sending carefully worded emails about maintaining professional standards during personal difficulties. My company, everything I'd built, was being threatened by my family's lies. A text from Grandma Rose. I saw the video. Don't respond. This is what manipulators do when they lose control. They escalate. Stay strong. I wanted to believe her. But as I watched Vanessa's video view count climb past 20,000, doubt crept in. What if I was wrong? What if there was some truth to their claims? What if I was being cruel? Then I pulled up the evidence again. The property records. The Instagram posts of Vanessa's vacations. The attempted loan fraud. No, I wasn't wrong. I was finally seeing clearly. My phone rang. An unknown number. Miss Reed, this is Detective Sarah Chen from the Fraud Division. I need to discuss a police report filed by Richard and Julia Reed. Here we go, I thought. The escalation Grandma Rose warned about. I'm happy to cooperate, Detective. But I'd like my attorney present. That's your right. Can you come to the station tomorrow at 10 a.m.? I'll be there. After hanging up, I called Michael back. The police want to interview me about the fraud report. Expected. I'll meet you at the station. Bring all the documentation we reviewed today. This is actually good news. How is being accused of fraud good news? Because once the police investigate, they'll see the truth. That your parents have been defrauding you, not the other way around. It'll blow up in their faces. I hoped he was right. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept checking Vanessa's video. 30,000 views. 40,000. 50,000. Each comment felt like a dagger. This is why I don't trust rich people. Imagine being so greedy you let your sister suffer. Money changes people. So sad. At 2 a.m., my work phone rang. The answering service for emergency client calls. Miss Reed, I'm sorry to disturb you, but we have a Marcus Wellington on the line demanding to speak with you immediately. He says it's urgent regarding his account. Marcus Wellington. My largest client. The one whose business accounted for 30% of my annual revenue. Put him through. The line clicked. Natalie, what the hell is going on? Marcus, I can explain. I just got a call from a reporter asking me to comment on your family crisis. They mentioned fraud allegations, police investigations, a video going viral about you abandoning your sick sister. His voice was cold. Is any of this true? It's complicated. Uncomplicate it. Now. Because I'm not about to have my reputation tied to someone under investigation for fraud. I took a deep breath. My family has been lying to me for years, taking money under false pretenses. I discovered the truth and cut off funding. They're retaliating with false accusations. Everything they're claiming is a lie, and I have documentation to prove it. Silence. Marcus. Send me the documentation. Tomorrow morning. Every piece of evidence. I'll review it with my legal team. Of course. And Natalie, if I find out you're lying to me, our contract is void. Understood. Understood. The line went dead. I sat in the darkness of my bedroom, watching the city lights blink through my window, and realized the full scope of what my family was doing. They weren't just trying to manipulate me into giving them money. They were trying to destroy everything I'd built. The police station smelled like industrial coffee and desperation. Detective Chen was younger than I expected, mid-30s, sharp eyes, and a no-nonsense demeanor that made me feel slightly less anxious. Michael sat beside me, his briefcase open on the scarred table between us. Miss Reed, thank you for coming in. Detective Chen settled into her chair with a notepad. I need to ask you about allegations made by Richard and Julia Reed regarding unauthorized access to their bank accounts. I never accessed their accounts, I said clearly. I made direct deposits into their account, which they requested. I have documentation of every transfer. Michael slid a folder across the table. Transfer records, email requests from Julia Reed specifying amounts and timing, and text messages confirming receipt of payments. Detective Chen flipped through the pages, her expression neutral. These show payments going to them, not from them. Exactly, Michael said. The Reeds are claiming theft, but they can't explain how deposits into their account constitute theft. They claim you stole money intended for medical expenses. I pulled up Vanessa's Instagram on my phone. This is my sister Vanessa's public social media. These posts document luxury purchases made within days of each payment I sent. Here's her in Aruba 2 days after I sent $2,000 for medical bills. Here she is with designer bags 3 days after another payment. Detective Chen studied the timeline, her eyes narrowing. There's more, Michael added. Property records show the Reed's house has been paid off for 6 years. Yet they told Natalie they needed money for a second mortgage. That's fraud. We also have evidence of attempted loan fraud, I said, pulling up the email from the bank. They tried to use my name as a co-signer on a $50,000 loan without my authorization. Detective Chen's professional neutrality cracked slightly. This is not what I expected. Because they're lying, Michael said bluntly. This isn't a case of a daughter stealing from her parents. It's a case of parents systematically defrauding their daughter. The detective made notes, her pen scratching against paper. I'll need to speak with the Reeds again. Based on what you've shown me, their story has significant inconsistencies. Will you be pressing charges against them? Michael asked. That's up to Miss Reed. Everyone looked at me. Pressing charges against my own parents. Against Vanessa. Making this even more public than it already was. But if I didn't, they'd keep escalating. What are my options? I asked. You could file for a restraining order if you feel threatened. You could press charges for fraud and attempted identity theft. Or you could pursue civil remedies for the money obtained under false pretenses. Detective Chen leaned back. But Miss Reed, I'll be honest, family fraud cases are messy. Even when you're clearly the victim, people will judge you for prosecuting family. People are already judging me, I said quietly. At least this way, the truth would be on record. Michael nodded. We'll file for a restraining order first. If they continue, we'll escalate. After leaving the station, I went straight to the office. Grace met me at the door with news that made my stomach drop. Marcus Wellington pulled his account. The words hit like a punch. 30% of revenue gone. Did he say why? Just that he couldn't be associated with ongoing legal drama. I'm sorry, Nat. I sank into my chair, the weight of the situation crushing down. Losing Marcus would hurt. Other clients would follow. The damage was spreading like poison through everything I'd built. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You made your choice. Now watch everything fall apart. Mom. Then another. Hope your money keeps you warm at night since you don't have family anymore. Dad. And a third, from Vanessa. You could have just helped us. Now everyone will know what you really are. The threats. The manipulation. The cruelty. It was all so clear now. They'd never loved me. They'd loved what I could give them. I called Michael. File the restraining order. And I want to press charges for fraud. You're sure? Completely. Good. Because your family just made another mistake. What do you mean? Your mother called Marcus Wellington directly. Told him you've been stealing from them for years. Made wild accusations about your business practices. Marcus recorded the call. She didn't know he was an attorney before he went into collecting. He just sent me the recording. My mother's voice on record, making false claims about my business. That was defamation. That was legally actionable. She's escalating, I said. And making mistakes. Let her. Every move they make now just strengthens our case. That evening, Grandma Rose called. I heard about Marcus. I'm sorry. It's not your fault. I know. But I also know Julia. She won't stop. She's too prideful. What should I do? Win, sweetheart. Win completely. Because anything less than total victory, and they'll keep coming back. After hanging up, I opened my laptop and started typing. Not a defense. Not an explanation. A statement of facts. I wrote for 2 hours, documenting everything with timestamps and evidence. The payments made in good faith. The discovered lies about the mortgage. The Instagram posts proving financial manipulation. The attempted loan fraud. The police report based on false claims. When I finished, I sent it to my PR team with a note, "We're going on the offensive." My PR director, Amanda, called within minutes. Are you sure about this? Going public with family issues is risky. They already went public with lies. I'm going public with truth. Okay. Then let's do this right. We'll coordinate with your attorney, release the statement through official channels, and include carefully selected evidence. No emotional appeals, just facts. Facts are my business, I said. Let's show everyone how good I am at it. We spent the night preparing. Michael reviewed the statement for legal exposure. Amanda crafted a media strategy. Grace compiled the evidence into a clean, professional presentation. By morning, we were ready. The statement went out at 8 a.m. In response to recent allegations made by family members, I am providing the following factual information. For 4 years, I made voluntary monthly payments to my parents totaling $96,000, designated for medical expenses and mortgage support. Recent investigation revealed that their home mortgage was satisfied 6 years ago, and no second mortgage exists. Social media posts demonstrate that payments were used for luxury purchases rather than medical care. Additionally, an attempt was made to fraudulently use my name as loan cosigner without authorization. Police have been notified. I have always acted in good faith toward my family. These revelations have been deeply painful. However, I will not allow false accusations to damage the integrity of my business or reputation. Full documentation has been provided to law enforcement and is available for legal review. I ask for privacy as this matter is resolved through appropriate legal channels. The response was immediate. Within an hour, journalists who'd been sympathetic to my family's story started asking harder questions. Vanessa's video got a context-needed label on social media. 3 of my former clients reached out to apologize for their hasty judgments. But my family's response was even faster. At 9:30 a.m., my mother called a local news station and did a tearful interview claiming I'd fabricated evidence. By 10 a.m., Vanessa posted another video, this time directly attacking my character, calling me manipulative and cold. My father sent an email to my entire client list claiming I was mentally unstable and shouldn't be trusted with valuable assets. They were burning everything down. And they didn't care who got caught in the flames. They're panicking, Michael observed, watching the chaos unfold from my office. Desperate people make stupid mistakes. How is this good for us? They're destroying my reputation. Look closer. He pulled up Vanessa's latest video. She's contradicting their earlier story. In the first video, she said they were facing foreclosure. Now she's saying the house is paid off, but they need money for other expenses. The story keeps changing. He was right. My father's email claimed I'd stolen $200,000, but their police report said $50,000. My mother's interview mentioned Vanessa's cancer treatments, but Vanessa had only ever had chronic fatigue syndrome as a teenager. The lies were collapsing under their own weight. They're making it easy for us, Michael said. Every inconsistency, every contradiction, every new claim, it all proves they're not credible. By noon, a local investigative journalist named Patricia Hendricks called my office. Miss Reed, I've been following this story. I'd like to do a deeper investigation, with your cooperation. Full access to documentation, interviews, the complete picture. Why? I asked. Because something doesn't add up. I've reported on family law cases for 15 years. When adult children cut off parents, there's usually a reason. And when parents immediately go to media and police with wild accusations. She paused. Let's just say I've seen this pattern before. I looked at Michael. He nodded. What do you need from me? Everything. Bank records, emails, property documents, social media archives. I want to build a complete timeline. If your family has been lying, the evidence will show it. If they haven't. She let the implication hang. If they haven't, I'll look like a monster. Yes. So I need you to be absolutely certain before we proceed. I thought about the property records showing the paid-off mortgage. Vanessa's Instagram posts documenting luxury while claiming poverty. The attempted loan fraud. The contradictory police report. My mother's recorded call to Marcus filled with provable lies. I'm certain, I said. When can we start? Patricia Hendricks was thorough to the point of obsessive. Over the next week, she interviewed everyone. My employees, my clients, even Grandma Rose. She requested financial records going back a decade. She analyzed Vanessa's social media with forensic precision, matching every post to my payment timeline. She even tracked down Vanessa's supposed medical providers. The clinic your sister claimed to be receiving treatments from? Patricia said during one of our meetings. Closed 4 years ago. Before she supposedly started going there. Another lie exposed. Meanwhile, my family's attacks intensified. My mother showed up at my office building twice more, causing scenes that required security intervention. My father sent threatening letters to my business partners. Vanessa organized a small protest outside my office, though only 6 people showed up, and 4 of them were paid influencers. Each incident was documented. Each threat was recorded. Each lie was catalogued. Michael filed the restraining order, and it was granted immediately. A judge reviewed the evidence and issued an order prohibiting my family from contacting me or coming within 500 feet of my home or office. The violation came within 24 hours. My mother called my office line, screaming threats and accusations. The call was automatically recorded. Michael filed a motion for contempt. The judge issued a warning. My father violated next, sending an email to my entire company claiming I'd embezzled from clients. That email was defamatory and false, and provable as such. Michael filed another motion, this time requesting sanctions. They're digging their own graves, he said, watching the evidence pile up. Every violation, every false claim, every threat, it all just proves our case. But the emotional toll was crushing. I barely slept. I couldn't eat. Every notification on my phone sent my anxiety spiking. Grace found me in my office one evening, staring at yet another threatening email from my father. "You need to go home," she said gently. "Get some rest." "I can't. If I stop working, I start thinking. And if I start thinking..." "You remember they're your family." I nodded, tears threatening. How did it come to this? How did the people who raised me become this? Grace sat down beside me. "Maybe they were always this. Maybe you just couldn't see it until you had something they wanted." Her words hit hard because they were true. I thought about my childhood, always overlooked, always second best, always sent away when I became inconvenient. The pattern had been there all along. I'd just been too desperate for their love to recognize it. My phone buzzed. "Patricia Hendricks. I'm ready to publish. Are you?" I looked at Grace, who nodded encouragingly. "I'm ready." "Good. Because this is going to make waves. I've documented everything. The false medical claims, the property fraud, the social media evidence, the attempted loan scam. I've also got statements from people in their community about their reputation for financial manipulation." "What do you mean?" "Your family has been pulling similar scams on others for years. Small-scale stuff, GoFundMe campaigns for fake emergencies, borrowing money they never repaid, guilt-tripping friends and extended family. You weren't their first victim, Natalie. You were just their biggest payday." The realization made me physically ill. This wasn't about family bonds or misunderstanding. This was their pattern, their business model, their way of life. And I'd been funding it for 4 years. When does the article publish? Tomorrow morning. Front page of the Metro section, full feature online. I'm calling it The Anatomy of Family Fraud, How One Daughter Discovered Years of Deception. After hanging up, I sat in the silence of my office, watching the city lights flicker on as darkness fell. Tomorrow the truth would be public. Undeniable. Documented. Tomorrow, my family would face the consequences of their lies. Tomorrow everything would change. I just hoped I was strong enough to survive it. Patricia Hendricks' article dropped at 6 a.m. like a bomb. The headline alone was devastating. Family fraud uncovered. How parents and sister allegedly scammed daughter out of nearly $100,000. But the content was nuclear. Patricia had done something I hadn't even considered. She'd tracked down other victims. A cousin who'd been guilted into paying for Vanessa's emergency surgery that never happened. A family friend who'd contributed to a GoFundMe for my parents' medical crisis while they were vacationing in Florida. A neighbor who'd loaned them money for urgent home repairs and never been repaid. The pattern was undeniable. My family hadn't just targeted me, they'd been running cons for years. The article included everything. Property records proving the mortgage was paid off. Screenshots of Vanessa's luxury lifestyle posts matched to my payment dates. The bank's confirmation of attempted loan fraud. Excerpts from my mother's defamatory calls. Contradictions in their various public statements. By 7 a.m., the story was trending nationally. By 8 a.m., I had 43 missed calls. By 9 a.m., Vanessa's Instagram was flooded with comments demanding accountability. Her follower count was dropping by the hundreds. I sat in my apartment, coffee growing cold in my hands, watching the avalanche I'd triggered. My phone rang. Grandma Rose. "Have you seen it?" I asked. Every glorious word. "How are you feeling?" "Numb. Relieved. Terrified." I laughed shakily. "All of it at once. That's normal. You've just exposed people you love for who they really are. That's not easy, even when it's necessary. Do you think I did the right thing?" "Sweetheart, you did the only thing. They were destroying you. Now the truth is destroying them instead." She paused. "That doesn't mean it won't hurt." She was right. Despite everything, despite the lies and manipulation and threats, part of me still wanted them to be different. To apologize. To admit fault. But I knew they wouldn't. At 10 a.m., my mother proved me right. She called another news station, claiming Patricia's article was full of lies and that I'd paid the journalist to defame them. Within an hour, Patricia released the recordings of her interviews with other victims, along with the documentation she'd independently verified. My mother's credibility evaporated instantly. By noon, Vanessa had deleted her Instagram account entirely. By 2 p.m., my father's employer, a small accounting firm, had placed him on administrative leave pending an ethics investigation. By 4 p.m., 3 of their friends had publicly cut ties with them on social media. The consequences were swift and brutal. Michael called with an update. "The county prosecutor's office just contacted me. They're considering fraud charges against your parents. The attempted loan fraud combined with the other victims coming forward has caught their attention." Criminal charges? Potentially. Patricia's article opened the floodgates. 6 more people have come forward claiming your family defrauded them. It's looking like a pattern of criminal behavior, not just a civil dispute. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I just felt exhausted. That evening, Grace came to my apartment with takeout and wine. "You need to eat something," she said, unpacking containers of Thai food. "And maybe drink something. Or both." "Definitely both." I managed a weak smile. "How bad is it at the office?" "Actually, not bad at all. For clients who'd pulled their accounts have asked to return. We've gotten 7 new inquiries from people who read Patricia's article and were impressed by how you handled the situation. And Marcus Wellington called. My heart jumped. And he wants to reinstate his contract. He read the evidence, felt terrible for doubting you, and wants to make it right." Grace poured wine into 2 glasses. "You're not losing business, Nat. You're gaining respect." The relief was overwhelming. I'd been so afraid that exposing my family would destroy my company. Instead, it had proven my integrity. We ate in comfortable silence until my phone buzzed with an email notification. From Vanessa Reed, subject: "We need to talk." My hand shook as I opened it. "Natalie, I know you probably don't want to hear from me. I know you're angry. But please, Just listen. Mom and Dad are falling apart. Dad might lose his job. Mom's friends won't talk to her. I've lost all my sponsors and my platform is destroyed. I know we made mistakes. I know we shouldn't have lied about the mortgage. But we're family. Doesn't that mean anything to you? I'm sorry for my part in this. I really am. But this has gone too far. People are threatening us. Someone spray-painted scammers on our garage. We're scared. Please, Nat, can we just talk? Can we find a way to fix this?
Vanessa.
I read it twice, searching for genuine remorse. But all I found was more manipulation. We made mistakes instead of admitting fraud. Lied about the mortgage instead of acknowledging years of systematic deception. Can we find a way to fix this? Instead of, I'm truly sorry. Even now, even after everything, she couldn't take real responsibility. Grace read over my shoulder. Are you going to respond?
What would I even say?
How about the truth? That you tried to help them for years. That they betrayed your trust. That they chose to escalate rather than admit fault. That they destroyed the relationship, not you. She was right. But saying it felt like closing a door I'd been holding open my entire life, the door to having a real family. I started typing.
Vanessa.
You say this has gone too far. But it went too far 4 years ago when you started spending my money on luxury purchases while telling me you were sick. It went too far when Mom and Dad lied about the mortgage. It went too far when you tried to commit loan fraud using my name. Everything that's happening now is the consequence of choices you made. Not mistakes. Choices. You had countless opportunities to tell the truth. Instead, you chose to lie, manipulate, and when caught, attack. I'm sorry you're facing consequences. But I'm not sorry for exposing the truth. Don't contact me again. Natalie. I hit send before I could second-guess myself. Grace raised her wine glass. To truth. And consequences. I clinked my glass against hers, feeling something shift inside me. Not happiness exactly, but resolution. Clarity. The door was closed. Finally. Over the next week, the fallout continued. The county prosecutor filed fraud charges against my parents for the attempted loan scam. Not criminal, civil penalties and restitution, but public record nonetheless. Vanessa's remaining social media accounts were suspended for violating terms of service related to fundraising fraud. My father lost his job. Not because of my actions, but because the ethics investigation revealed he'd been using similar tactics with coworkers, borrowing money for fake emergencies and never repaying. Their house went on the market. Not because they couldn't afford it, it was paid off, but because their neighbors had made it clear they weren't welcome anymore. And through it all, not one of them took real responsibility. My mother gave an interview claiming to be the victim of a vindictive daughter. My father wrote an op-ed about cancel culture destroying families. Vanessa started a blog about surviving betrayal by loved ones. They'd learned nothing, changed nothing. They were still the same people who'd manipulated me for years. The only difference was that now everyone could see it. Patricia published a follow-up article about the psychology of family fraud, using my case as a detailed example. It included expert commentary about narcissistic family dynamics and financial abuse. The article went viral, reaching millions of readers. I became unintentionally famous, not as a victim, but as someone who'd fought back and won. Speaking invitations poured in. A publisher contacted me about writing a book. A documentary filmmaker wanted to feature my story. I declined them all. This wasn't about fame or revenge. It was about truth and freedom. A month after Patricia's article, I was working late when building security called. Miss Reed, there's someone here to see you. She says she's your grandmother. Rose? Send her up immediately. Grandma Rose arrived looking friendlier than I'd ever seen her, but her eyes were as sharp as ever. "I have something for you," she said, pulling an envelope from her purse. "Your grandfather's life insurance policy. He left it to me with specific instructions." I opened the envelope. Inside was a check for $50,000, made out to me.
Grandma, I can't.
"You can and you will. Edward always said you were special. That you'd do something important. He wanted to help when the time was right." She squeezed my hand.
The time is right. But why now?
"Because you've learned the hardest lesson, that sometimes the family you're born into isn't the family you need. You've freed yourself, Natalie. Now build something better." We sat together in silence, two survivors of the same family, understanding what others couldn't. "Are you okay?" I asked finally. "With everything that's happened? They're your family too." "Julia is my daughter. But she stopped being someone I recognized years ago." Grandma Rose's voice was sad but firm.
"I love her.
"I probably always will. But I don't like who she's become. And I won't pretend otherwise just because we share blood." "Do you think they'll ever change?"
No.
The word was gentle but absolute. Some people are too invested in their own narratives to see the truth. Your mother, your father, Vanessa, they'll always be the victims in their own stories. That's their choice.
And mine
Is to live well, to build something real and true, to be the person they could never appreciate. She smiled. "You're already doing that, sweetheart. Keep going." After she left, I stood at my office window, looking out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, my family was dealing with the consequences of their actions. Somewhere out there, other families were probably going through similar struggles. And somewhere out there, maybe someone would read about my story and find the courage to stand up for themselves too. I thought about who I'd been a year ago, desperate for my family's approval, willing to sacrifice anything to help them, blind to their manipulation.
and who I was now, clear-eyed, independent, free.
The change hadn't been easy. The cost had been high. But for the first time in my life, I belonged to myself. And that was worth everything. 3 months after Patricia's article, I sat across from Dr. Ellen Morehouse, the therapist Grace had convinced me to see. "Tell me about the guilt," Dr. Morehouse said, her pen poised over her notepad. "It comes in waves. I'll be fine for days, and then suddenly I'll remember something, like my mom teaching me to bake when I was 7, or my dad at my college graduation, and I'll think, how did we get from there to here?" "Do you feel guilty for exposing them?" I considered the question carefully.
No.
I feel guilty for grieving them while they're still alive, for mourning a family that never really existed. Dr. Morehouse nodded. That's called anticipatory grief. You're mourning the loss of the family you thought you had, the family you hoped they could be. Is that normal? It's very normal, especially in cases of family estrangement due to abuse or manipulation. You're not just losing current relationships, you're losing the hope that those relationships could ever be healthy. The truth of her words settled heavy in my chest. Over the next several weeks, therapy became a safe space to unpack decades of manipulation I hadn't even recognized. The way Vanessa's childhood illness had been used to justify ignoring my achievements. How my parents' praise was always conditional on what I could provide. The pattern of guilt and obligation that kept me trapped long after I should have walked away. "They trained you," Dr. Morehouse explained during one session. "From childhood, they trained you to believe that your worth was tied to your usefulness. That love was something you had to earn through sacrifice. But that's not how family should work." "No, it's not. But it's how your family worked. And unlearning that pattern takes time." She was right. Some days I felt strong and certain. Other days, The old programming kicked in and I'd find myself reaching for my phone to call my mother before remembering why I couldn't. The business, however, was thriving. Read verification systems had expanded to 3 new markets. Our reputation for integrity, ironic, given everything, had actually strengthened after the public exposure of my family's fraud. Clients appreciated that I'd held to my principles even when it cost me personally. Marcus Wellington not only reinstated his contract but recommended us to 5 other major collectors. Grace got promoted to VP of Operations. We hired 6 new employees. The company I'd built as proof of my worth became something bigger, a testament to what's possible when you refuse to be defined by other people's limitations. But success felt hollow sometimes, especially during holidays. Thanksgiving came around again, exactly 1 year after everything fell apart. Grandma Rose invited me to her apartment. "Just the 2 of us," she said. "No drama. No performance. Just family." We made a simple dinner together. Roast chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans. Nothing fancy. Nothing designed to impress anyone. "This is nice," I said, helping her set the table. "Quiet. This is real," she corrected gently. "Last year's Thanksgiving was performance. This is actual family time." She was right. There was no tension, no walking on eggshells, no wondering when the other shoe would drop. Just peace. "Have you heard from them?" she asked over dinner. "Not directly. But I know they're still in town. The house sold. They moved to a smaller apartment across town."
And Vanessa?
Still trying to rebuild her online presence. She started a new Instagram under a different name. Calls herself a wellness coach now. I pushed food around my plate. Part of me wants to warn her followers. But mostly I just want to be done.
"Then be done," Grandma Rose said simply.
You don't owe them your energy anymore. Not even your anger. After dinner, she handed me a wrapped box. Early Christmas present. Inside was a leather journal embossed with my initials. "For your story," she explained. "Not the one they told about you. The one you're writing yourself." I hugged her, tears threatening. "Thank you. For everything. For seeing me when no one else did." "Oh, sweetheart." She held me tight. "I didn't see you. I recognized you. There's a difference." The holidays passed quietly. Then came January, and with it, something unexpected. A letter arrived at my office. Not from my family, but from a woman named Claire Morrison. "Dear Miss Reed, you don't know me, but I read about your story in Patricia Hendrick's article. I'm writing because I'm currently going through something similar with my own family. Financial manipulation, guilt trips, accusations when I tried to set boundaries. Reading about your experience gave me courage to seek help. I've filed for a restraining order against my parents and cut off the monthly payments I'd been making for their emergencies. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. But your story showed me it was possible to survive this, to come out stronger. I'm not asking for advice or help. I just wanted you to know that by speaking your truth, you helped someone else find theirs. Thank you. Sincerely, Claire Morrison." I read the letter 3 times, something warm and unfamiliar blooming in my chest. My pain had helped someone else. My story had given someone courage. Maybe that was the point of all of this. Over the next few months, more letters arrived. People sharing their own stories of family financial abuse. Adult children trapped in cycles of manipulation. Parents being guilt by adult children who refuse to become independent. Each letter was different, but the pattern was the same. Family members exploiting love and obligation for financial gain. I started responding to some of them, offering resources and encouragement. Not advice, I wasn't qualified for that, but solidarity. Proof that you could survive estrangement from toxic family and build a good life. Grace suggested starting a foundation. You have a platform now, she said during a Monday morning meeting. And you have resources. What if you used both to help others in similar situations? The idea took root. By spring, the Reed Foundation for Family Financial Abuse Awareness was officially registered as a nonprofit. Our mission: providing resources, legal assistance, and counseling referrals for adults experiencing financial exploitation by family members. We partnered with therapists, attorneys, and financial advisors willing to provide services at reduced rates. Created educational materials about recognizing financial manipulation. Offered support groups for people navigating estrangement. The foundation became my purpose, the meaning I extracted from my pain. Patricia did a follow-up story about it. This time, the headline was hopeful: From Victim to Advocate, How One Woman Turned Family Betrayal into a Mission to Help Others. The article brought even more attention. Donations poured in. Volunteers offered their time. People who'd survived similar situations reached out to share their stories and offer support to others. Something good was growing from the ashes of my family relationships. It was late spring when the email arrived. From Vanessa Reed, subject: 1 year later. I stared at it for 10 minutes before opening it. Natalie. It's been a year since everything fell apart. I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from, but I need to say this. I'm in therapy now. Real therapy, not the performative wellness stuff I was doing before. My therapist has helped me see patterns I didn't want to acknowledge. I've been thinking a lot about what you said, about choices versus mistakes. You were right. These weren't mistakes. They were choices I made, knowing they were wrong, but convincing myself they were justified. I told myself you were successful and I was sick, so you owed me. I told myself Mom and Dad deserved support because they raised us. I told myself the lies were okay because family should help family. But the truth is, I was jealous. Jealous of your success. Jealous of your independence. Jealous that you'd built something real while I was building a fake life for Instagram. And instead of dealing with that jealously in a healthy way, I decided to tear you down and take what I could. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I know I don't deserve it. I'm not asking to reconnect. I know that door is closed. I just wanted you to know that I see it now. I see what I did. And I'm sorry. Not sorry I got caught. Not sorry about the consequences. Sorry for betraying someone who only ever tried to help me. You deserved better. From all of us. I hope you're happy, Nat, really happy. You earned it. Vanessa. I read the email 3 times, searching for manipulation or hidden agenda. But all I found was regret. Genuine, painful regret. It didn't fix anything. Didn't change what had happened. Didn't make us family again. But it was something. I showed it to Dr. Morehouse during our next session. How does it make you feel? She asked. Sad. Relieved. Vindicated. Empty. I shook my head. All of it. Do you want to respond? I don't know. Part of me wants to acknowledge her growth, but part of me is afraid it's just another manipulation. What does your gut tell you? I thought about it. Really thought about it. That it's real. But that it doesn't change anything. She can be genuinely sorry and I can still choose not to have her in my life. Dr. Morehouse smiled. That's very wise. I thought about it for another week before responding. Vanessa. Thank you for your honesty. It sounds like you're doing hard work in therapy, and I respect that. I appreciate your apology. It helps to know you understand how your actions affected me. But I need you to understand something too. An apology doesn't erase what happened. It doesn't rebuild trust. It doesn't undo the damage. I forgive you, not for your benefit, but for mine. because I don't want to carry anger anymore. But forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. We're not going to be sisters again. We're not going to have coffee and catch up. That relationship is gone. I wish you well in your journey. I hope you continue growing and healing. But our paths are separate now. Take care of yourself. Natalie. I hit send and felt peace, not happiness, not satisfaction, just peace. The door was closed, locked, and I was okay with that. 2 years after that devastating Thanksgiving, I stood in front of 300 people at a conference for financial professionals, about to give the keynote speech. The topic: family, fraud, and the cost of truth. My hands shook slightly as I approached the microphone. Public speaking still terrified me, but this message was too important to let fear win. 2 years ago, I discovered that my family had been systematically defrauding me for 4 years. I began, watching the audience lean forward with interest. The experience nearly destroyed my business, my reputation, and my sense of self.
Today, I'm going to tell you why it was still worth exposing.
I walked them through the story, not for sympathy, but as a case study. The warning signs I'd missed. The manipulation tactics they'd used.
The moment I chose truth over comfortable lies.
Here's what I learned, I said, clicking to a slide with 3 bullet points. First, family financial abuse is far more common than we acknowledge. Studies suggest 1 in 5 adults experiences financial exploitation by a family member at some point. Second, the isolation victims feel is what keeps the cycle going. We don't talk about it because family dysfunction feels shameful. But silence protects abusers. Third, there is life after estrangement. Good life. Rich life. Life that doesn't require you to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. The audience was silent, hanging on every word. My foundation has now helped over 500 individuals navigate situations similar to mine. I'm sharing this not because my story is unique, but because it's not. And the more we talk about it, the more people we can help. After the speech, dozens of people lined up to share their own stories. A man whose brother had been forging checks in his name. A woman whose parents had drained her college fund and denied it. An elderly couple whose adult son had manipulated them out of their retirement savings. Each story broke my heart and strengthened my resolve. This was my purpose now. Not just building a business, but building a movement. That evening, I had dinner with Grandma Rose at her favorite restaurant. She was 86 now, moving slower, but still sharp as ever. "I'm proud of you," she said, raising her wine glass. "Not for the business or the foundation. For becoming yourself." "What do you mean?" "You spent so much of your life trying to be what they needed. The responsible one. The provider. The peacekeeper." She smiled. "Now you're just Natalie. And she's magnificent." I blinked back tears. "I couldn't have done it without you." "Yes, you could have. It would have taken longer and hurt more, but you had it in you all along." She squeezed my hand. "I just helped you see it." We talked about the foundation's expansion plans, my upcoming TEDx talk, the book proposal I was considering. "Are you happy?" Grandma Rose asked suddenly. I considered the question carefully. Was I happy? I thought about my apartment, smaller than I could afford, but cozy and peaceful. About my team at work, people who respected and valued me. About the foundation work, painful but purposeful. About the absence of manipulation, guilt trips, and emotional landmines. "Yes," I said, surprised by my own certainty. "I am. Not happy in the way I thought I'd be, but happy in a real, sustainable way." "That's the best kind," Grandma Rose said. "The kind that doesn't depend on anyone else." 6 months later, I was walking through the downtown farmers market when I saw them. My mother and Vanessa, standing at a produce stand. My body froze. Fight or flight kicked in. Every instinct screamed to turn around and leave. But then something strange happened. I looked at them, really looked at them, and felt nothing. Not anger. Not grief. Not even curiosity about how they were doing. Just a mild, distant interest, like seeing former acquaintances I'd lost touch with years ago. They hadn't seen me yet. I could leave without confrontation. But I didn't want to run. Didn't want to give them that power. So I kept walking, heading toward the flower stand right next to where they were shopping. My mother saw me first. Her face went white, then red. Vanessa turned, following her gaze. For a moment, she looked like she might say something. But then she just gave a small, sad nod and looked away. We stood 15 feet apart, close enough to speak, far enough to maintain distance. My mother opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again.
Natalie.
Julia. I kept my voice neutral, professional. The use of her first name instead of Mom was deliberate. She flinched like I'd slapped her. How have you been? Vanessa asked quietly. Well, you. Managing. The conversation was painfully polite, carefully distant, like strangers making small talk while waiting for a bus. This was what we'd become, what they'd made us become.
I should go, I said, selecting a bouquet of sunflowers.
Take care. As I walked away, I heard my mother's voice, strained and desperate. Natalie, wait. I kept walking.
She called again, louder. Please, we need to talk.
I turned back, keeping my expression neutral. No, we don't.
There's nothing left to say.
But we're family.
No, I interrupted, my voice firm but calm.
We're related. That's not the same thing. I paid for the flowers and left, my hands surprisingly steady. Behind me, I heard my mother crying, Vanessa trying to console her. And I felt relieved, not triumphant, not vindicated, just relieved that I could stand in their presence without falling apart, that I'd reached a place where their drama couldn't touch me anymore. The invisible child they'd overlooked had become a woman they could no longer manipulate, and that was its own kind of victory. Later that evening, I called Dr. Morehouse to process the encounter. How do you feel? She asked. Surprisingly okay. I thought seeing them would devastate me or make me angry, but I just felt detached. That's called emotional neutrality. It means you've processed the grief and moved on. They're no longer figures of power in your life, they're just people you used to know. Is that healthy? It's one of the healthiest outcomes of family estrangement.
It means you've healed.
Healed. The word felt strange but right. I wasn't broken anymore. Wasn't carrying their dysfunction like a weight on my shoulders. Wasn't defining myself by their rejection or approval. I was just myself. Free. A year later, the foundation hosted its first annual gala, a fundraiser to support free legal services for family financial abuse victims. The ballroom was packed with donors, advocates, attorneys, and survivors who'd found the courage to speak their truth. I stood at the podium, looking out at faces representing hope and healing, and began my speech. 3 years ago, I thought my life was ending. My family had betrayed me, my business was threatened, and I felt more alone than I'd ever felt in my life. I paused, letting the silence settle. Tonight, I stand before you to say that endings can be beginnings, that loss can become purpose, that the family you're born into doesn't have to define the life you build. I clicked to the first slide. Statistics on family financial abuse. 1 in 5 adults will experience financial exploitation by a family member. Most will never report it. Most will suffer in silence because we're taught that family loyalty matters more than truth. Click. The next slide showed the foundation's impact numbers. In 3 years, the Reed Foundation has assisted 847 individuals in escaping financial abuse. We've provided over $2 million in free legal services. We've connected 1,200 people with therapists who specialize in family trauma. And we've helped 93 individuals successfully prosecute their abusers. The audience applauded. I waited for quiet. But numbers don't tell the whole story. Let me introduce you to someone who does. The lights dimmed. A video began playing on the screen behind me. A woman in her 40s appeared, sitting in a comfortable chair, speaking directly to the camera. My name is Claire Morrison. 3 years ago, I was trapped in a cycle of financial abuse by my parents. I was sending them $3,000 every month while raising 3 kids on a teacher's salary. I believed I had no choice. I believed family obligation meant sacrificing everything. Claire's voice strengthened as she continued. Then I read about Natalie Reed's story. And I realized I wasn't alone. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't selfish for wanting to protect myself and my children. The video showed photos of Claire with her kids, smiling and healthy. The Reed Foundation connected me with an attorney who helped me file a restraining order, a therapist who helped me process the guilt, a financial advisor who helped me rebuild my savings. Claire looked directly into the camera, her eyes bright with tears. Today, my kids have college funds. I have retirement savings. And most importantly, I have peace. I'm teaching my children that love doesn't require self-destruction. That's a gift I never would have received without Natalie's courage to speak her truth. The video ended. The audience erupted in applause. Claire was in the audience. She stood, tears streaming down her face, as people around her stood in solidarity. One by one, others stood. Survivors. Advocates. People who'd found freedom through truth. Within seconds, the entire ballroom was on its feet. I stood at the podium, overwhelmed by the moment. This was what my pain had created. Not just my own healing, but a pathway for others to find theirs. When the applause finally died down, I concluded my speech. To everyone here tonight who survived family betrayal, you are not alone. Your pain is valid. Your boundaries are necessary. And your future is yours to write. I raised my glass. To truth. To freedom.
And to the families we choose. To chosen family, the room echoed back.
After the gala, Grandma Rose and I sat in my apartment, exhausted but content. You did good tonight, she said, kicking off her heels with a sigh of relief.
Edward would be so proud. I wish he could have seen it.
Oh, sweetheart, he knew. She smiled mysteriously. He told me before he died, our Natalie is going to do something important. Something that matters.
Make sure she knows we believe in her.
Tears stung my eyes.
He said that.
He saw you, Nat really saw you.
Just like I did.
She took my hand. You were never invisible. You were just surrounded by people determined not to see you. We sat in comfortable silence, watching the city lights twinkle through the windows. Do you ever wonder about them? Grandma Rose asked. Your parents?
Vanessa.
Sometimes.
Less and less, though.
I sipped my wine thoughtfully. I heard through the grapevine that Dad got a job at a different accounting firm. Smaller. Less prestigious. Mom joined a church group. I think she's trying to rebuild her social circle.
And Vanessa?
Actually doing the therapy work, from what I can tell. She reached out again a few months ago. Just a short message saying she's working on herself and doesn't expect anything from me. That's growth, Grandma Rose acknowledged. Doesn't mean you have to respond. I know. And I didn't. But I'm glad she's working on herself. Not for my sake.
For hers.
You're more generous than I would be. I smiled sadly. I'm not generous. I'm just done carrying their weight. If Vanessa wants to become a better person, that's wonderful. But it's not my responsibility to witness it or validate it. Her journey is hers. Mine is mine.
And what a journey it's been.
Grandma Rose raised her glass. From invisible child to unstoppable force. We clinked glasses, the sound crystal clear in the quiet apartment. 6 months later, I published my book, Invisible No More, Finding Freedom After Family Financial Abuse. It hit the bestseller list within 2 weeks. The book tour took me to 30 cities. At every event, survivors approached me with their stories. Some were still trapped. Others had escaped and rebuilt. All of them needed to know they weren't alone. I provided resources at every event, lists of attorneys, therapists, financial advisors who specialized in these cases. Contact information for the foundation. QR codes linking to support groups. In Seattle, a young man approached me after my reading, trembling. My husband's family has been draining our accounts for years, he whispered. He can't say no to them. We're drowning in debt. I thought I was going crazy for being upset about it. I gave him the foundation's card. You're not crazy. And you're not alone. Call this number tomorrow. We can help. Tears streamed down his face. Thank you. Thank you for saying it was okay to protect myself. In Chicago, a woman in her 60s shared that her adult children had been stealing from her for decades. I thought I had to keep giving because I'm their mother, she said. Your book made me realize I can love them without funding their poor choices. In Miami, a teenager told me his parents were taking his paycheck from his part-time job to pay for his older brother's drug habit. I'm only 17, he said. But when I turn 18, I'm getting my own bank account. Your book taught me that family obligation doesn't mean self-destruction. Each conversation reinforced the same truth. Family financial abuse is epidemic, hidden, shame-filled, and absolutely survivable. 4 years after that Thanksgiving catastrophe, I received an unexpected call. Miss Reed? This is Detective Chen. We met a few years ago regarding the fraud case with your family. I remember. Is everything okay? I'm calling with an update. Your father has been arrested for a larger fraud scheme. Apparently, the pattern continued after your case. He defrauded his employer and several colleagues out of nearly $200,000. My stomach dropped.
Oh God.
Your mother and sister weren't directly involved, but they benefited from the money. The prosecutor wanted you to know that your decision to press charges 4 years ago created a paper trail that helped crack this case. Without your evidence, we might never have caught him. After hanging up, I sat in silence. My father, in jail for fraud. The pattern I'd exposed had continued and escalated. If I'd stayed silent, enabled their behavior, how much worse would it have gotten? I called Dr. Morehouse. How do you feel? She asked after I explained. Sad. Vindicated. Guilty.
All of it. Guilty why?
Because part of me wonders if cutting them off pushed him to this.
Natalie.
Her voice was firm. Your father's choices are his own. He didn't commit fraud because you set boundaries. He committed fraud because that's who he is. You just stopped being his victim. She was right. I knew she was right, but it still hurt. That evening, Vanessa called. I almost didn't answer. Nat?
It's Vanessa.
I know I promised not to contact you, but
Dad was arrested.
I heard. Mom is falling apart. She claims she didn't know, but Vanessa's voice cracked. I think she did. I think she always knew what he was doing, what they both were doing. Why are you calling me? Because I need to say this. You were right. About everything. And I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. I'm sorry I participated in it. I'm sorry for every lie, every manipulation, every time I made you feel guilty for protecting yourself. I closed my eyes.
Vanessa.
I'm not asking for anything. I'm telling you the truth. Finally. You deserved better from all of us.
And I'm sorry.
I appreciate that. I do. But it doesn't change anything. I know.
I'm not asking it to.
She took a shaky breath. I just wanted you to know that I see it now. Really see it. The whole pattern. How toxic it all was.
How much damage we did.
Are you okay? I asked, surprising myself. I will be. I'm still in therapy. I got a real job, nothing glamorous, just administrative work. I deleted all my social media. I'm learning to be a person instead of a performance. She laughed bitterly. Turns out I have no idea who I am without an audience. That's brave work, Vanessa. It's the only work that matters. She paused. I hope you're happy, Nat, really happy.
You deserve it.
I am.
I really am.
Good. That's good. Another pause. Goodbye, Natalie. Goodbye, Vanessa. The line disconnected. I sat holding the phone, feeling the strangest mix of emotions. Sadness for the family we could have been. Relief that I'd escaped when I did. Pride for Vanessa's growth, even if it came too late for us. But mostly, I felt peace. The door was closed. Locked. And I was finally okay with that. 5 years after the Thanksgiving that changed everything, I stood in Grandma Rose's hospital room, holding her hand as she slept. At 89, she'd lived a full, rich life. And now, she was dying peacefully, surrounded by love. Her eyes fluttered open.
Natalie.
I'm here, Grandma. I'm right here. She smiled weakly. Did I ever tell you about the day you were born?
No.
Your mother was so disappointed. She wanted a boy. Your father didn't care either way. But when I held you... Her grip tightened slightly. When I held you, I thought, this one is special. This one is going to do something important. Tears streamed down my face. You gave me everything.
You saved me.
No, sweetheart. I just recognized you.
You saved yourself.
She coughed softly. The foundation. The book. The lives you've changed.
That's all you. But I couldn't have done it without.
Yes, you could have. It would have been harder, but you would have found your way. You're a survivor, Natalie.
Always have been.
Her eyes began to close. Promise me something.
Anything.
Keep living. Keep speaking truth. Keep showing others that they can survive family betrayal and build beautiful lives. Her voice was fading.
Promise me.
I promise.
Good girl.
Her breathing slowed, became peaceful.
I'm so proud of you.
Those were her last words. Grandma Rose died that evening, peacefully, with me holding her hand. The funeral was small. Just me, a few of Grandma Rose's friends, and some foundation board members who'd known her. My mother, father, and Vanessa didn't attend. I'd sent notification to their last known addresses, but requested they not come. They honored that request. It was the first respectful thing they'd done in years. During the eulogy, I spoke about what Grandma Rose had taught me. She taught me that family isn't just about blood, it's about who shows up, who sees you,
who loves you without conditions or expectations.
I looked at the small gathering, Grace, who'd become like a sister. My team from the foundation, who'd become my chosen family. The survivors I'd helped, who'd become my community. Grandma Rose showed me that being invisible to some people doesn't make you invisible. It just means you're surrounded by the wrong people. After the service, I scattered her ashes in the garden she'd loved, in the home where I'd found refuge as a child. Thank you, I whispered to the wind, for everything, for SG me, for believing in me, for showing me what family should be. The wind carried my words away, along with her ashes, and I felt her presence one last time, warm, proud, loving. Then she was gone, and I was alone, but not lonely, never lonely again. Family is supposed to be your foundation, not your burden. True family, whether blood or chosen, sees you, values you, and loves you without condition. When people exploit your love for their gain, setting boundaries isn't betrayal. It's survival. Your worth is not measured by what you can give others. Your success doesn't obligate you to sacrifice yourself for people who refuse to respect you. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from people who are supposed to love you but only know how to use you. And on the other side of that painful decision, freedom, peace, and the chance to build a life that truly belongs to you. You are not invisible. You are just surrounded by people determined not to see you. But you can find people who will. People who recognize your worth without needing you to prove it. People who love you for who you are, not what you provide. That's not just survival. That's triumph. And your story, like mine, might just help someone else find the courage to claim their own freedom. Because in the end, the greatest revenge isn't destruction. It's living well, living honestly, living free, and showing others that they can too.